Oh, what a disaster it's been. So now let me bring in Robert Greenwald, a person who's been pointing this out for a long time, founder and president of Brave New Films, director and producer of Iraq for Sale, The War Profiteers. Robert, great to have you on the Young Turks.
Thank you. Great to be here.
All right, let me start with the money aspect of this, right? So some people suffered a lot of people died, right? And we, the taxpayers, paid a lot of money. But some people made money off this war. Who made money and how much?
Well, the contractors made a lot of money, and primarily the corporations, the war-profiting corporations, some of which we're familiar with and some of which we aren't. But I just was looking over a few stats before coming in. So KBR's stock went up last year during the Afghanistan war 60%. And then you have that.
Must be nice.
Oh, yeah, very nice. And they, at the same time, they had contracts worth $40 billion, and they were fined over $130 million for breaking the law. But that doesn't stop these contractors. They keep profiting. The salaries are obscene, and the heads of these corporations, Cenk, are making $15, $20, and $25 million while wars are going on and while we are paying a moral price and a financial price and a terrible, terrible human price.
Right, and by the way, the 5,500 contractors are actually staying in Iraq. Like, we're withdrawing technically. There's about 4,000 to 5,000 guys left. They're going to leave by the end of the year. Today was a symbolic end of it, but the contractors stay no matter what.
Right, and there were more private contractors in Afghanistan. There were actual troops at one point. And the lobbyists, the lobbying costs for the war profiteering companies, they spend $150 million a year on lobbying, which in some ways is more effective than just giving to campaigns, because lobbyists are made up of former generals, former military people, and they have an open door and a back door to get in and whisper sweet nothings in the politicians' ears.
Well, that's the whole problem with the system, and it's also true in this case. You know, you look at the Iraq War and you go, geez, it didn't make any sense at all. And now the American people agree. 62% say that we shouldn't have fought it in the first place, and 78% agree that President Obama was right to withdraw. Those are, you remember the bad old days when we didn't have those numbers.
When we were getting taxed incredibly, we were getting death threats and everything else because we were opposing the war. And we'll see the same in Afghanistan over time. People will realize more and more billions of dollars were spent, lives are destroyed forever, and we never should have been fighting that war in that way.
And, you know, the reason we do it is unfortunately exactly what you pointed out, because some people get rich off of it, you know, and they've got lobbyists and they spend $150 million lobbying. So whether we want to, whether our guys die or not, we're going to that war, whether it made any sense. God, AA had no link to Al-Qaeda. That's what always drives me crazy. It's driven me crazy from the beginning. But, you know, you and I had a conversation about this before the show. What do you think was the reason that we actually went in? Was it just the money? What do you think it was?
Well, I think it was more than just the money. I think with all of these wars, Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan, there's always some kind of intellectual justification. The problem is the military-industrial think tank complex sees wars as the only solution to what are profound, significant social problems. So they thought they were going to fix the Middle East. I thought this is the neocons would go in, they would invade, they would take over a country, and they'd show everyone else how it's done. Obvious makes no sense whatsoever, but each of these wars have made no sense. Afghanistan, Cenk, it fundamentally makes no sense, and Vietnam fundamentally makes no sense, which is why we've started War Costs at Brave New Foundation to try to talk about and connect the dots on all of these wars, where you're always thinking, there's a problem, what am I going to do? Invade and occupy. And damn it, over and over again, it doesn't work.
It doesn't. It didn't work in Iraq. It's certainly not working in Afghanistan now, and it is costing us literally trillions of dollars. How much more would I rather spend that on people's Medicare or people's education than spend it on these senseless wars? Robert Greenwald, you've been fighting the good fight a long time on both of those wars. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.